You know, Jordan, for the last decade, whenever we looked at global business risk lists, it was always the same usual suspects. Supply chains breaking, natural disasters, maybe a new regulation popping up. Static threats, things that happen to you.
Right. And the only digital thing on that list was usually cyber incidents. But Alex, looking at the Allianz Risk Barometer for 2026 that just dropped, the landscape has fundamentally shifted.
It has. The honeymoon phase is officially over.
It really is. We are looking at a landmark shift in corporate governance. According to the report, artificial intelligence has rocketed up the charts to become the #2 most significant business risk globally. It's trailing only cyber incidents now.
To put that in perspective for our listeners, in 2024, AI was sitting at number 12. In 2025, it crept up to number 10. And now, in 2026, it's number 2. That is a meteoric rise. It signals that the era of move fast and break things is dead. We have entered the era of consequences.
And that's what we're digging into today. We have the expert report titled AI Rises to 2 Global Business Risk, and it is a sobering read. It's not just about robots taking jobs, it's about liability, reputation, and massive financial loss.
Exactly. The report calls it a Sputnik moment for risk management because for the first time, software isn't just a tool we use, Jordan. It's an agent that acts.
That distinction is key. So let's peel this back. How did we get here so fast?
Well, the report lays out a fascinating timeline. If you go back to the 2015-2020 era, AI risk was mostly academic. We were worried about black box algorithms. Was the AI biased in hiring? Was it fair? It was a philosophical and ethical concern.
Right. And then 2023 hits, ChatGPT launches, the generative explosion.
Precisely. And in 2023, risk management teams were basically told to shut up and sit down. It was the year of FOMO, fear of missing out. Every CEO wanted AI, and they didn't care about the guardrails.
But then came 2024. The report calls it the year of litigation.
That's when the bills came due. You had the New York Times suing OpenAI, you had major liability rulings, and now, sitting here in 2026, the report says we are in the phase of operational reality. We aren't asking, is this AI racist anymore? We are asking, did this AI just transfer $25 million to a fraudster?
Which, spoiler alert for later in the show, actually happened. But before we get to the horror stories, Alex, I want to touch on the shadow AI economy mentioned in the market analysis. We know Fortune 500 adoption is saturated. Everyone has it. So where is the risk coming from?
It's coming from the gap between adoption and protection. The report highlights something called shadow AI. Think about it. For every sanctioned, secure enterprise AI tool a company pays for, how many employees are secretly using free, unsanctioned tools to get their work done faster?
I see it all the time. An employee takes a confidential, messy PDF, finds a free PDF summarizer online, pastes the data in, and boom, data leak.
Exactly. And the budgets aren't aligning. Companies are spending massive amounts on developing AI, but the budget for securing it hasn't kept pace. And the insurance companies have noticed. The report mentions that cyber insurance providers are tightening policies significantly this year. If you don't have an AI governance framework, you might find yourself uninsurable for AI-related losses.
That is a huge deal. But I want to get technical for a second. The report does a deep dive into why these models are risky. It mentions a fundamental difference between deterministic and probabilistic systems. Alex, break that down for us.
Sure. Traditional business software is deterministic. If I input 2 plus 2 into Excel, it will always output 4. It's reliable. Generative AI, however, is probabilistic. It doesn't know facts. It predicts the next likely word in a sentence. So input A might equal output B, but it might also equal output C.
And that brings us to the hallucination problem.
Right. In a creative writing context, a hallucination is a feature. In a legal or medical context, it's a disaster. Even a 0.1% error rate is unacceptable in high-stakes environments. The report notes that while retrieval augmented generation, or RAG, helps, it doesn't eliminate the risk.
The report also compares prompt injection to the old SQL injection attacks of the early 2000s.
That's a great analogy. Remember how hackers used to type code into login boxes to trick the database? Now we see jailbreaking. People use things like the Dan prompt, do anything now. They trick the chatbot into bypassing its safety filters. They can make a customer service bot swear, offer 99% discounts, or reveal its back-end instructions.
And then there's data poisoning, which sounds like something out of a spy novel.
It essentially is. As companies start building their own small language models on internal data, a malicious insider could change just a few lines in a training document. That could cause the AI to subtly corrupt financial forecasts or introduce a backdoor. It's incredibly hard to detect.
It's terrifying because it's so subtle. But let's move from the theoretical to the tangible. The report details 3 critical case studies that really drive this home. The first one, honestly, Alex, this one gave me chills. The deepfake heist at Arup.
This is the case study that killed the concept of see it to believe it.
Walk us through it.
So February 2024, an employee at Arup's Hong Kong office gets a message from the CFO about a secret transaction. The employee is smart. They get suspicious. They do what we were all taught to do. They request a video call to verify.
Which should have been the safety net.
It should have been. The employee joins the video conference. They see the CFO, they see colleagues they know, they see external partners. They hear their voices. But here's the twist. Everyone else on that call was a deepfake.
Every single one?
Every single one. Synthesized in real time using public footage. The employee, convinced by their own eyes and ears, made 15 transfers totaling $25.6 million. That's 200 million Hong Kong dollars.
That is staggering.
It changed the security landscape overnight. The report says the lesson here is that visual and audio confirmation are dead. You need cryptographic authentication now. FIDO2 hardware keys, out-of-band verification. You can't trust your eyes anymore.
And while Arup was battling deepfakes, Air Canada was battling its own chatbot in court. This is the second case study, the Air Canada liability ruling.
This one is fascinating from a legal perspective. A passenger asked the Air Canada chatbot about bereavement fares. The bot hallucinated a policy, saying the passenger could buy a full-price ticket and get a refund later. That was not the actual policy.
So the passenger sues for the refund, and Air Canada's defense was bold?
Remarkable is the word the tribunal used. Air Canada argued that the chatbot was a separate legal entity and that the company wasn't responsible for its actions. Essentially, the bot did it, not us.
I can't believe they tried that.
The tribunal didn't buy it either. They ruled that Air Canada is strictly liable for the representations made by their automated agents. The lesson is simple. You own your bot's words. Disclaimers aren't enough.
Which brings us to the third case, which is less about money leaving the building and more about value leaving the building, the Samsung IP leak.
This was back in April 2023, effectively the patient zero of corporate AI data leaks. Samsung allowed engineers to use ChatGPT. Almost immediately, engineers pasted proprietary semiconductor source code into the chat to ask for optimization. Another uploaded a confidential meeting recording.
And at that time, that data went straight into the public learning corpus, right?
Exactly. Samsung's top secret IP became part of OpenAI's brain. Samsung had to issue an immediate ban and start building an internal air-gapped solution. The takeaway here is about data sovereignty. If you don't provide your employees with a secure enterprise-grade AI tool, they will use an insecure consumer one. Convenience always wins.
So we have financial loss, legal liability, and IP theft. That's a triple threat. The report also highlights the talent void as a major challenge.
It's a massive bottleneck. We have a shortage of AI risk officers. Cybersecurity people understand networks, but they don't understand model weights. Data scientists understand the math, but they don't understand enterprise risk. Finding someone who speaks both languages is incredibly difficult right now.
And looking forward, Alex, the report outlines the outlook for 2026 to 2030. It mentions agentic AI. We touched on this at the start, software that acts.
This is the next frontier. We are moving from chatbots that talk to agents that do. An AI agent that has permission to send emails, click buttons, and move money creates a transactional risk. Imagine an agent getting stuck in a logic loop and ordering $10 million of inventory in 5 minutes.
That's a frightening thought. And then there's the quantum threat?
Harvest now, decrypt later. Attackers are stealing encrypted AI trading data today, banking on the fact that by 2030, quantum computers will be able to crack that encryption. It's a time bomb.
Plus, the report mentions the human-in-the-loop fallacy. As AI gets faster, keeping a human involved becomes a bottleneck. Companies will be tempted to remove the human oversight to gain speed, exponentially increasing the risk of runaway failures.
So the picture is scary, but the report doesn't leave us hanging. It proposes a strategic framework for the C-suite. They call it the AAA framework.
AAA, break it down.
The first A is audit. This is the discovery phase. You need to perform a shadow AI sweep. Use your security tools to see exactly what AI URLs your employees are hitting. You can't secure what you don't know about.
Makes sense. And the second A?
Architect. This is the control phase. Move away from public APIs. The report recommends using private instances, like private Azure or AWS bubbles, where you retain zero-day data retention rights, and implement a truth layer.
A truth layer.
It sits between the AI and your data. It ensures the AI only answers based on retrieved documents with citations. If it can't find the fact in your documents, it shouldn't answer.
Smart. And the final A?
Align. This is the culture phase. Adopt the NIST AI Risk Management Framework. The report says NIST is becoming the ISO 27001 of AI, the gold standard. And finally, establish an internal red team.
Professional troublemakers?
Exactly. People whose sole job is to try to break your prompts, trick your agents, and inject malicious inputs before the bad guys do.
It feels like we've come a long way from check out this cool poem ChatGPT wrote.
We really have. The conclusion of the report puts it perfectly. The rise of AI to the number 2 global risk isn't a signal to stop innovating. It's a signal to start governing. The winners of the next decade won't be the companies with the smartest models, Jordan. It will be the companies with the strongest control over those models.
Treat AI risk with the same rigor as cyber risk. That's the mandate.
It's no longer just a technical oversight. It's a breach of fiduciary duty.
Alex, thank you for walking us through this deep dive.
Always a pleasure.
And for our listeners, check your governance frameworks and maybe think twice before trusting that video call. This has been DX Today. We'll catch you next time.